Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Welcome, everybody, to Screw the Commute, and this is episode number 11, and I am really thrilled about it because a good friend of mine, I don't know, for a couple hundred years, and is on here with us, and I'll be telling you all about him in a second. Right now, I'll tell you a little bit about our sponsor. It's the Internet Marketing Training Center of Virginia, distance learning school. It's the only one of its kind in the country, licensed and independent to operate on that topic. So you want to check it out, and don't do anything on higher education until you check out our webinar. You can find it in the show notes at screwthecommute.com and watch that webinar. You'll really open your eyes to the opportunities in higher education that won't crush you in debt. All right. So let's get to the main event. Book marketing expert John Kremer is the author of 1001 Ways to Market Your Books. And I got to tell you, I bought that years and years ago. I'm not sure how many editions are out now, but it's not just books. I used that, and that book has influenced all of my 400 plus products over 24 years. So this is really a classic of the world. And he is a mentor to authors who have sold over 1 billion books. That's with a B, billion, and founder of the Billion Book Initiative to help the next generation of book authors sell another 1 billion books. Over the past 30 years, John has helped thousands of authors, and that is not any kind of hype. This guy is an icon of the industry. He's helped thousands of authors, both major celebrities and those just starting out, to sell more books and lots more books. That's John Kremer. John, I got to ask you, are you ready to screw the commute?
Am.
The commute, that is.
I'll do anything.
Tell them a little bit about what you do, John.
Oh, well, I do consulting. I do a lot of writing. I create courses like the Pinterest course that you promoted a number of weeks ago.
Great. People, tell them a little bit about that real quick, because people think, oh, that's just graphics. And I thought that myself for a while, but there's a lot of stuff you can do with that, right?
Yes, there is. It really is a tool. Pinterest is basically the best social network for selling things because it's a buying audience. People are really using it to save things that they really want to buy. And that's what's really nice about it. And they share, which is something that a lot of other social networks, they don't do as well. And on Pinterest, they really do. So it's really a great place to drive a lot of traffic and pick up sales.
And
I really like it.
Yeah, the average amount of money spent per person is a lot higher than most of the other social medias, right?
Right. It's actually the highest according to, I'm going blank on the company.
Well, yeah, but I remember you talking about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a link in the show notes to that webinar that you do with, is that the one with Daniel Hall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. Great. So
you can link to your replay.
Yeah, we'll put that in the show notes so people can get access to that, because that really opened my eyes. And after I started using your method of creating pins in a certain way so that they really stick out, wow, I sold 2 protection dogs at $20,000 a piece coming from that. And so it's not any kind of playtime. This is a serious way to really reach people, and you guys really nailed it with that webinar. So
it's a good one.
John, did you ever have a job?
I did.
What did you used to do?
Not for very long at any one time.
I know that feeling.
Because I hated doing it, but I was the only male clerk typist in the Minnesota Department of Health. 6 floors of a building, and I was the only male one. And I was actually the only working typist also.
Well,
everybody else was doing their nails.
Exactly. Yeah, I know that government stuff, and that was funny because I was a big strapping football player, and I took typing in high school. One of the best things I ever did. because I don't have to hunt and peck now, and I'm screamingly fast when I do stuff. So
I did the same thing. And I would say for high school students, if you're going to work, take typing,
Yeah, exactly. And you'll be surrounded by a bunch of girls mostly nowadays. So
yes.
What was the turning point when you said, you know what, I got to get out of this?
Oh, well, it wasn't hard. I never did want to work for very long. So probably my longest period of working was like 6 months, or one time I did a year, but I was only working part-time.
Okay. Well,
like 4 hours a day. So, that was my endurance level. I really wanted to always work for myself. I always wanted to be a writer. And over time, I decided that, I need to start to publish myself rather than wait for a publisher to decide to do something.
And about when was this?
Oh, gosh, almost 30 years ago now.
So you've been working for yourself and making a living, writing and consulting for over 30 years, right?
Yeah, it's actually been 33, 34 years, I think.
That is beautiful. That's a Screw the Commuter Hall of Famer, right?
I do have to commute nowadays. My office is 50 feet from the house, so
well, yeah,
I do have to commute.
Daniel was telling me that the other day. His is 4 minutes. I'm thinking, you guys really got to step it up. I mean, mine's 37 seconds.
Yeah. Well, mine's probably 37 seconds.
Okay, well, that's good.
I'm 50 feet from the house, so,
Okay.
It's nice. My wife wanted me out of the house, so I built a little office for myself with a friend, and it really works out well. It's quiet. I don't have to worry about being interrupted by her, and so all those things are really nice, and I like that.
Do you get dressed up like you're going to some work thing, or?
Oh, absolutely. Tie and everything.
Oh,
no.
Yeah, right. And you live in Taos, New Mexico, right? I bet that's a big tie place.
No, it isn't. And actually, I live outside, about 12 miles outside on the side of a hill. So we have 2.5 acres of woods around us.
That's nice.
It's a nice place for the dogs to run around and bark at the neighbor dogs and things like that.
What kind of animals are there? Do they have coyotes and bear and things like that?
Yeah, we have coyotes, bears. We had a visit from bear last week checking out our garbage.
Oh, that's nice.
Down the hill. They come down the mountain about this time of year on their way to the apple orchards at the bottom of the valley.
Okay.
And so they stop and fill up so that they can make the rest of the trip.
Fill up, yeah.
But I've seen a mountain lion. We have fox, deer, and we don't have elk here. We do have elk nearby, but not right around here.
I just really want to get out there because of that place that does those super homes that are very efficient. I forget the name of them.
Oh, yeah, the Earthships.
Earthships, yeah, exactly. I'm dying to come out there. So what kind of advice would you give? You remember back to that time when you pretty much shit-canned the job. If somebody else is thinking about, I want to get out of here, but, you can't be irresponsible about it and not pay your bills. So what kind of advice would you give to people that want to transition and have their own business?
Well, I would say, try to find a part-time job that pays you well enough that you can cover your expenses, and then spend the rest of the time creating the life you want.
Yeah, and some people, they do that part-time job to give them time to work on their business, and then they don't work on their business. So you don't want to fall in that trap. You have to set aside the time to do your work as well, the work that you want to do. I did that when I was working that year part-time. I would work 4 hours a day, then I would write for 4 hours a day, and I finished a book in a year. You're beautiful, yeah. Let's dig into a little bit what you do more, because I have been a big advocate of creating information around any business, because an information product or a book can promote the other product that the person is trying to sell. So give us some tips about getting started in writing things to promote your business.
Well, in today's world, you don't have to think about writing a big book. My 1001 Ways that I'm best known for is 700 pages.
Exactly.
That's insanity.
Nowadays, for sure. Yeah.
I'll admit it. I'm insane. That's how I did it. But, if I were doing it today, I would do, 196 to 120 page books, and I do multiple ones.
Mm-hmm.
And that way you can use them as business cards. You can actually give them away because they're not that expensive. I have a friend that does what he calls the Book of the Month Club. He's written 12 books. He's a speaker to corporations. And when he finds a hot prospect, he sends them a book every month for 12 months.
Wow, that's impressive.
And he books a lot of speaking that way and a lot of consulting. And, now he owns a nice olive grove in Greece, among other things.
Yeah. And I've always said a book is, from the business standpoint, is one of the biggest hassle, least profitable things. But it's massively profitable because it leads to these other things that you can sell, coaching and speaking and all that. And people still think it's hard to write. So they, I don't think that way, but a lot of people do. And so they think that, well, if you produced a book, you got to know your subject. And that gives you instant expertise and credibility so that people will hire you as a consultant. Yeah, having written a book still has credibility. But I will tell you, I hate these guys that tell people to put out any piece of garbage as fast as possible, that it would be a better coaster than it would be a book. And then,
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't get people, people read books intelligently. They know if it's junk or not. And it doesn't help you. It's not a business card. You can certainly sell those on Kindle for a little bit until people realize, oh, this is junk.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not a big fan of that strategy.
No,
I really believe you should do a good book and really take the time to edit it. I see too many books being done, and I look at them and go, way too many errors here, and lousy formatting. It doesn't look great. It's not going to give you any kind of credibility.
Yeah, and what I crack up and kind of rag on is you can pretty much be brain dead and have an Amazon bestseller nowadays.
Yeah. Well,
you could sell
as
2
people
books.
Define it, yeah.
Yeah, you could sell 2 books in a category that nobody ever reads and get in the top 100 and then call yourself an Amazon bestseller.
Yeah, and that's really bad.
Exactly.
And yet people are teaching people that all the time. And I hate that idea of an Amazon bestseller, because in the book industry itself, an Amazon bestseller, unless you're actually in the top 500, you're not considered that. Of all of Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is that, so people say they're an Amazon bestseller, and right away, book industry doesn't really respect you because they know the numbers.
Exactly, right.
And so it doesn't help your credibility with them. And so if you're trying to build an authorship, it doesn't work. Now, if you're trying to build credibility with people that don't know, well, maybe it works.
Yeah, maybe it works. But then someday you're going to get found out by some really important person that could really open doors, and they're not going to open that door.
And the thing is that it's most of the people that have claimed Amazon bestsellers, they quit 3 months later or 3 weeks later because they haven't followed up. They haven't done anything to create momentum. And so the book just dies very, very quickly because, as you said, you sell 2 books and can claim bestseller status. Well, where's the 3rd book sale going to come from?
Yeah. So now, have you ever, keeping on our topic of screwing, have you ever been screwed in business, and what'd you do about it?
I have been. I once created a product with somebody else, and I realized I did all the work and all the promotion, and she didn't do much. So I said, look, I actually told her, look, you can have that product. I just want to take part of it and create a new course. And she just got mad at me, and she just called me up every day yelling at me and stuff like that. I finally had to just, not answer the phone when I recognized her number. And it took her like a year, 2 years before she finally gave up. It was not fun. It was really a pain. But when you do a partnership, it should be equal.
Right, of course.
The partnership I have with Daniel Hall on the Pinterest course is a good partnership, and I like it. We've always done well together. We like each other, and that's important. And I thought I had that same kind of relationship with this other lady, but it turned out that she just didn't do anything.
Yeah,
And
you got to be careful with partners. It's like getting married. I mean, it's
it is to some extent.
Yeah.
And actually, we didn't have a written contract, which obviously you
yeah.
should, and all those kinds of things. So, I mean, I actually gave her the course. I mean, she could have done anything, but she didn't know promotion. She didn't have a list. She didn't actually contribute anything except a little bit of content that I could squeeze out of her. So it was just one of those things.
Well,
and
the lesson here is written agreements. Of course, they're only as good as the person doing them, but a lot of times the people that know they're not going to come through are reluctant to sign things. Right? So,
yeah. But I actually recommend to authors, if you're co-authoring even with your spouse, get a written agreement between the two of you, because there's too many people that get divorced and separated and stuff like that, and suddenly all your content, whatever you've created, is tied up. But if you have a written agreement, you can get out of it gracefully. To me, written agreements, contracts are designed to protect people's feelings, to protect the relationships, until the lawyers get involved.
Yeah, right.
Get a written agreement, even if it's one you write yourself, but that you get something that really, lays out what the agreement is, and then get it signed, of course, because that really will protect the relationship. So even if everything else goes to hell, some part of it will stay.
Yeah, and it's easy to get into a pseudo partnership like that, but getting out is where it can be devastating. So, all right, now anything opposite end of the spectrum funny happened to you or in your business world? Well, do you remember
I'm very
that funny,
honest in my consulting?
right? But do you remember that funny quote that I heard you say in a speech one time about consulting and your rates and all that?
Oh, okay.
Tell them that one.
Okay. Basically, I was getting, most of us who do consulting, we find out that we give the best advice in the world and people don't follow it.
Right.
And so at one point, I threatened to charge double my normal consulting fee and say, I'll give you half back if you follow my advice.
Yeah, just do what I tell you.
Yeah, because it's so frustrating. And the worst kind of consulting client, it's the one that has 6 people coaching him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because the last person who talks to him, he follows that advice, and then he gets back to you and he's already gone screwed off in a different way and not done the things that you said. And then you have to bring him back.
Oh,
and, all of that is really painful. So, I really did threaten, and actually probably with that one person, I have one person that's really like that, and I'm really tempted to say, hey, next time you want to hire me, we're going to do it this way.
I love that. So what do you think the worst part of working for yourself is?
Well, you have to keep, disciplined, and that can sometimes be hard because, you're either tired or there's something, I walk with my dogs every day, and that's a special part of me. And I like doing that, but sometimes you can't do that because you got to finish something. Probably the toughest thing for me is finishing something.
Mm-hmm. It's easy to get ideas and get stuff started.
Right. In fact, my wife said, you cannot start selling this Pinterest course until you finish it.
That's a good point.
But the reality is it's not finished yet because people keep asking questions. So I create new content to answer their questions. So that's good on one side. But on the other side, it means that I'm in one sense not finished yet. But the basis of the course is finished. And I like that because I have done it the other way where we basically sold the course and then started to create the content. And it's much harder to continue to create the content, especially if the sales weren't there.
Yeah, but I thought you had a thing where on some of your courses, you are adding to them as new things come about.
I try to with everything that I've done.
Right.
But it's so that's a challenge. The main challenge is make sure you finish the things that you start.
Right.
And I'm not always good at that, but I try because I've noticed the pain of not doing that.
There you go. So what do you promote mostly now? Is it the Pinterest, or do you have something else
Right
you'd
now,
like them to know about?
Right now, we're still doing primarily the Pinterest marketing.
Okay.
We just had a couple people that really sold well. I mean, they really went to bat, and we sold like 80 courses from each of them.
Oh, beautiful.
And that's nice. That's good income for them, and it's good income for us. It keeps us happy, and it keeps, the momentum going. So that's nice. And then I'm working on, with the 1,001 Ways to Market Your Books, it's always been one big book. And then I decided to break it into a real world edition and a digital or online marketing edition. So the online marketing would all be in one book, and the real world stuff, publicity, TV, stuff like that, bookstores, would be in the other book. So I finished the real world one, but I haven't finished the digital. And so that's on the side. I've been working on that.
So we can put the real world one in the show notes for this show?
Yes, it's
okay,
available.
Good.
It's on Amazon, and it's also available on my site if you want a print edition. Right now, it's not available on Amazon in print, but it is available in ebook.
Okay, so we'll get all of that in the notes, and we'll follow up with you and get all those links ready. Well, we got to take a brief break from our sponsors, so we will be right back in about 37.2 seconds.
Today, almost 2 billion of you will go online, retrieving over 100 billion searches for information, goods, and services, and 6 million of you will view a page on the internet before this commercial is over. The world has changed, and so has the way we do business. At the Internet Marketing Training Center, you can study online at your pace to fit your schedule, and you can graduate with the skills and knowledge to compete in the global marketplace or start your own home-based business. Call us today or go online at imtcva.org because it's about time. Yours.
Okay, so we're just put in a commercial here, so I'm ready to go when you are.
Is that for the Internet Marketing Center again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, I hear that's a scam. No.
Okay, I'll edit this out.
No, I hope. Yes. I'm sorry if I screwed up your editing.
No, it's we always leave a space here to edit and fool around.
Okay.
All right, ready?
Yes.
Okay, we're back. Hey, John, what does a typical day look like for you? And do you have any particular techniques of how you stay motivated to create all this great stuff you've created?
I don't really have a technique for staying motivated, because you stay motivated because you're doing something you love.
Okay.
And because I love what I'm doing, it's not hard to stay motivated. And I'm also motivated, of course, because my wife wants me out of the house.
All right.
So that gets me into the office, and so I come over to the office in the morning. Again, I can choose when I get up and when I come, and all that.
When do you walk the dogs?
Usually in the afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Because I'm also walking my wife at the same time.
Okay. What kind of leash do you use for her? I don't know.
I don't. I got to be very careful about that. I come and I usually start, and it's probably a mistake, by checking my email. Because in some ways, I think you should probably only check email at the end of the day.
Not me. I got to do it all day long and all night.
And I do too. I'm always checking in, probably like you, I get 500 or 600 emails a day.
Yep.
Now, probably 30 of them are important. The others are sales messages and so on, because I'm always looking at what's happening in internet marketing. So I belong to all these different lists, and I buy a certain number of products just to check them out, see if they work, how they work, and so on. But, like a lot of people, I bought a lot of products that I've never actually used, and I never actually checked out because things get complicated. But I like looking at what's happening so that when I'm consulting with people, I can say, you should check this out, or you should check this out, because you need to know what's going on so that people can teach people the right things. Because so much of book marketing today is online, I need to know about online marketing. So I'm always following everybody that's doing internet marketing, what they're doing, like product launches and things like that. So I actually went to the Product Launch Formula, a live event a couple of weeks ago in Phoenix, just to learn a little bit more about the process and, how people do it. The Product Launch Formula has been one of those things that's historic, I guess you could say. A lot of people have had success with it, and it's been something that teaches, I think does a good job. I think Jeff Walker does a good job with it. But it's not the only thing, and I'm not sure I like the actual process. It doesn't work with my mindset because I don't like to close off sales.
Right.
And the Product Launch Formula is designed that you sell for 10 days or 7 days or 5 days, and then you say, I'm cutting you off. If you don't sign up, you'll have to wait a year or 2 years before you can get in again. And I understand the logic of that in terms of you set a deadline, more people are going to sign up.
Yeah, it's an urgency technique, yeah.
Yeah, and we use that in our Pinterest webinars as well. But I liked having some, I come from book publishing where when you publish a book, it's available and it's going to stay available. There's no scarcity there, except that sometimes it goes out of print. But in today's world with print on demand, it never goes out of print.
Right, exactly. So it's
and I sort of like that. It fits my mindset. I like that when I promote something, whenever somebody decides it's right for them, they can buy it. Okay, so you check out all this other stuff. What else do you do in a day? Oh, well, I check my Vikings team, and I'm disappointed. Last year they didn't do it. But and I check the news. I do some of those things, but mostly I'm checking out new things, and I'm working on the writing and developing content. And then, of course, I have my coaching calls. So depending on how many people I'm coaching at a time, I may have a call or two a day, and then you have that. Plus, of course, I'm always doing interviews like this where you get a chance to promote yourself. And that's important. And I think online, that's really important because interviews are so much better than somebody, say, reviewing your book. Because in an interview, you have a chance to at least control some of the content. People hear you, and if they like what you offer and you share some good content, they're more likely to go and say, hey, I need to check out his book, or check out the webinar series, or whatever it might be. And when somebody, I've had some terrible book reviews where somebody, they read, I had one up on Amazon where somebody quoted my book and said, I said this and I said that. And I checked my book and it's nowhere in the book. And I'm going, what kind of insanity is this person involved with that they can quote me when it's not from my book? It took me years to get Amazon to de-emphasize that and delist it, because it was inaccurate. And, so you don't always have control. It's like Yelp, small businesses, they don't always have control of what people are going to say. And if somebody's in a revenge mode because you happen to be a little irritated them when you checked them out of your store, I've seen some bad reviews. Or they just don't like your politics or whatever, whatever it might be. And it can really, one thing I do is I make sure that politics, what I believe in politics, does not get shared anywhere, because I don't want half the country to hate me. Right, exactly. And it's going to be half, exactly. Because right now it's half and half. So, do you have any parting wisdom for our screwballs that listen to this thing and might want to get into writing and do stuff like you do? Well, the key thing is find something you love to do, because then you'll do it, and you'll do it well. If you hate doing something, like I tell my authors, if there's a part of marketing that you simply don't like doing, find somebody that likes doing it and hire them to do that part. Don't try to do it yourself, because you'll screw it up. You won't like it, you hate it, and you won't do it well. So do the things you enjoy doing and use those. Find the things that will work for you that you enjoy doing, and use that as a way of promoting what you're going to be doing. And everything you're doing, it's going to involve marketing. So you have to start to fall in love with marketing. And it's probably you had the same experience I did when I first started speaking in public. I mean, I'd have stomach turmoil, and nervous and all those things. Now I push people off the stage to get on.
Right, exactly.
And I know you're like that. You want to get in there and start to share what you have to share and start talking to people and having fun. And, one time I spoke to the National Speakers Association and I was sicker than a dog.
That's what I remember. I think that's when I heard your quote.
Yeah, and it might have been. And, there were 300 people in the room and I get up on the stage and I speak for an hour and a half and you would not know that I was sick because I was on.
Right.
But the minute I was off, I was sick again.
That's endorphins
some
kicking
sort of
in.
flu. Yeah, but you do that because you love it, and I do enjoy that now. I enjoy sharing. I enjoy giving good content and sharing that with people and helping people to find what they love and to sell it.
Beautiful, beautiful advice. So how do people reach you if they want to hire you or ask you questions or buy some of your stuff?
The best thing is to go to my website at bookmarketingbestsellers.com.
Bookmarketingbestsellers.com. We'll have that in the show notes for John, and they can reach you through there for consulting and help with book stuff, right?
Yes.
Wow, John. So great to reconnect with you. We did it recently with Pinterest, but this was great one-on-one. I thank you so much. These people are going to go crazy over this, and don't forget the 1001 Ways to Market Your Book. That's the one that's they can get on your website, or that's the one
website or ebook on Amazon.
Okay, beautiful. Well, all you screwballs, this has been another great event. This is episode number 11 with John Kremer. And don't forget to visit screwthecommute.com to look over the show notes, click on the links, go over and check out all John's stuff, and leave us a review. We'd really appreciate it. And we will catch you on the next one. See you all later.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.